you very much, sir. Icon of Hope and Support Foundation is partnering. Talking about old age people.
Okay. So this is your number so that people can reach out. I will have promoted it on my Facebook. You know, they just hacked my Facebook again this morning, you know.
Yes.
They keep
I wanted to even visit your I visited your Facebook. I couldn't find your line, so I have to come to the TikTok and Instagram.
I know, so they keep hacking my page as usual because that's their new stock in trade, but we are better than them. 0906 683 3627. That's your number. If you want to support him, support him. Even if it's 1 naira, like I said, Manjem, you see, when people do empowerment, they forget that even if it's 1 naira you can give people, it is the heart that matters. It's not like one politician that want to do show off and lie to people. It's the heart that matters. It's not about publicity. It's the heart that matters. That's just it. So don't worry, we keep supporting you. 0906 683 3627. Manjem, that man is doing an artery for IDPs. And I'm also partnering with him. So you can see that we're also reaching out to IDPs. We've done prison ministry in Lagos and Abuja. So we keep pushing, Manjem. Don't worry, I tell you, you see, in this journey of doing good, I've come to realize that not everybody has the same mission with me. Some mission are for their own pockets. But for me, it's for impact.
My brother, Rufai, the majority have come to realize something is that they know that since we have been partnering together for over 1 year, a lot of people are trying to use Icon of Hope and Rufai as a page so that they can use that opportunity.
I tell you now, that's why I say don't give them the chance. That's why next time, if you come and tell me that politician call you and you say you want to do anything for you are your own. No. That's why I say me, I don't. So never in your life, because the politician will do it for his own propaganda sake. Me, I'm not a politician. I do charity. You see, the day I started doing a lot of empowerment, that's why they came to ask me that do I want to do politics? I said no. I said I do it because it makes me feel good. So please, I beg you, never in your life will allow politicians come and swindle you again. No, I've told you.
I really appreciate there is one of our partner. Her name is Cheesy from your para. He donated the sum of 50,000 naira for this outreach.
Very good.
You know, because I came to realize, and I thank you for that by the grace of God, I've learned that your integrity matters. Because if you see what is happening, is that majority of people listen to this voice, messages, our conversation. Some people even called me that I should give them the means how to reach Oseni Rufai. I don't even know him. So you understand? Just to use the opportunity.
And truthfully, you don't know me. You have not seen me. You only met me on radio, and I support what you are doing, just like I support Ambassador Musbah. So, but people should be careful. That's just it. That's just
right. What you are doing, because when you gave me the advice that no matter how little it is, if it is 10,000, maybe
I tell you, see, for the sake of public integrity, politician has deceived you now. Politician have deceived you now. You see what they did to him, everybody. You know me, I'm a man of integrity. A politician called him and said, let them plan outreach together. After they no pick call again. After the matter, they're publicizing the outreach. That's why I've had people from different political parties, Labour, everybody come here. I want to partner with you. I don't want. Leave me alone. The 3 naira I can use to do outreach, I will use it to do the outreach. Leave me alone. I don't want. It's going to be bigger. I don't want it to be bigger. Let me do it the way you want to. If you want to go and do it, you to go and do your own. Stop using my name to deceive people.
Mhm.
I don't want, and when I say it, people don't know what I'm saying. Thank God he has learnt now. I told him that time. A politician called him and they deceived him over outreach. The politician that just want to use it to be, is he not in this country, man, Jem? That politicians go and beg contractor for project so that they will pose in front of project, but propose project and act like they are the ones. A group recently petitioned one politician that said he was doing birthday and was giving free transformer in Ogun State. And they said that money is taxpayer money. That's what the group said. So politicians will take constituency projects and be acting like they are the one that are giving it to the people. And they have nothing to do with it. So let them keep deceiving themselves. Me, I'm not a politician. I'm a man that will tell you the way it is. So I don't want a lot of them politicians have called me tired. No. Don't use my name to come and rub your dirty name. It took me a lot to build my name.
You know that someone that has never called me up because of the relationship. People I don't think till today I don't even know their name. They send money to Icon of Hope to support outreach. I don't have their contact. I just receive their alert for the outreach. These are the people I want, not somebody that will call me. I love the way you and Oseni Rufai are partnering together. I want to come. Nobody, majority of people come through your platform. I have never met them. They don't even call me. I will just receive message.
That's just it.
So don't disclose your contact to me.
And that's why I keep saying you are a partner with my foundation. You be my idea. The day I discover that your hands is not mago, I will cut you off and I will tell you the truth.
Yes,
so
I believe
that's just it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. So you can see the society we have, where people now see charity as a means to swindle people. You see the society we have built. When I tell you that these are vestiges of a society that is in destruction, you think I'm lying. A politician called him because they know that, oh, I partner with him a lot. He gives things to people. I say, okay, solicit support for him. And they deceived him. And they planned the phantom outreach. When it was time to execute, the politician ran away. They have used his name because they know his partner to me to make their name for themselves. You can see the society we live in. It's not a society in decline. The society in decline is a society where people like lies more than the truth. In Nigeria today, if you are lying, you are a celebrity. If you are telling the truth, you are hated. Your account is hacked. All sorts of punishments you will have gone through. But it's not going to stop us. Because we can't all be mad at the same time. That's always my argument. We can't all be mad. We can't all support evil at the same time. We can't all support evil at the same time. That's just it. We can't all support evil. Hello? Hello?
Hello, good morning, sir.
Great to have you. Yeah.
I'm calling from the
Speak up, please. I can't hear you.
this is Fulani.
Yeah.
So I was the one that
Okay. How far? We said we're supposed to give you something to start up. We've not seen anything from you. You've not told someone to call me.
Okay, I'll get back.
Tell Samuel to reach out to me.
I'll get back.
Thank you. I appreciate you. Yeah, so that we can support your quiz show on your radio, even if it's small recharge card we give you. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you. So we've built that kind of society. How are we going to come out of that? It's going to be tough at this level. Why is it going to be tough? Because excuse I got the budget go. Things don't spoil for this country so much. But I believe that if we keep talking about it, you will start to have a means of livelihood. Because they know I was going to speak the truth on my platform, they hack my platform 5 o'clock this morning. Also, you have to take action. My brother, you can't be saying you want Nigeria to be better and you are collecting small money from politicians, 5,000, 10,000 to go and vote or to go and protest in favor of evil, and you want the country to be good. Look at them yesterday. Some APC leaning supporters started making a mockery of themselves because Niger brand chick had criticized President Tinubu in the past, but today she partnered with Lagos State government on an empowerment program, if a trade fair. They are now saying that Lagos State should not partner with her because she criticized Tinubu in the past. They are now trying to bring down Idris Aregbe for that partnership. Idris, I support you. So because people criticize governments, does that mean they can't partner with government on anything? Do you know how many ideas that I see working today that I'm the one that gives to ministers serving in this government? Do you know how many times that ministers will have something to share with the world, they will send message to me? Does it stop me from sharing it? Does it stop me from sharing it? I criticize this government, but I also support them the most in many things because I know governance is a national assignment. When I meet with ministers in this cabinet, they say Rufai ideas. I give them ideas. I generate ideas. Do you know many events that have ensured that ministers in this country attend to make them look good? And I say it today, that's why they all respect me. When they need my help, they come. National Orientation Agency, go and check on all my pages how I post messages from National Orientation Agency to support them. The DG is eternally grateful to me for all the support I give this government. Doesn't mean I will not criticize them tomorrow. Never. I will still criticize them. But when it's there to support, I support. When they did something recently, when they said, what's it called? When they did this transparency initiative by the Ministry of Finance, didn't I support them on TV by saying it's a welcome development? Does this stop me from criticizing tomorrow? But because this lady had criticized President Tinubu in the past, that I said she's unfit to be president, today she's partnering with Lagos State government to amplify the role of Lagos State government of empowerment. The data boys went online and start abusing and saying government should not partner with them. You can see the hypocritical society our youths have started to run. You can see the hypocrisy in the life of our youths. And they think hacking Rufai's account will stop them. Are we not on radio? We are on radio. Are we not on YouTube? We are on YouTube. Are we not on the same Facebook on another account? We are on Facebook. Are we not on another platform? We are on another platform. Are we not on TikTok? We are on TikTok. TikTok, over 1,000 people watching us. So we have built a very big hypocritical society. And to win the society back will be an Herculean task. Because we don't like telling ourselves the truth. We don't want to tell ourselves the truth. And a society that doesn't tell itself the truth will tell themselves lies. The other day, people were protesting in Abuja. We had counter-protests. Counter-protesters that came in a bus that organized. Isn't it shocking that nobody arrests counter-protesters? But because somebody criticized President Tinubu in the past, some people are now going on social media. They are crying. They are wailing. We are not going to support APC again because the they partner with somebody that criticized President Tinubu in the past, you can see their mindset. And these are young people. Like I keep telling them, data job, data boy, no be job. Get something doing. So as long as we have this kind of society where people keep pushing all sorts of propaganda, we will never move further. Me, I will keep telling people the truth. You see, this truth is hot cake. It's hot cake. If we don't tell it, society doesn't move forward. Today, our country is so porous now that how much is 20,000 naira in pounds? For less than 10 pounds, people sell their conscience. How much is pounds now? 20,000 naira in pounds. People are all about what they can benefit. People have become what they call AGIP. You know what they call AGIP? Any government in power. As long as the government is in power, I'm with the government. No clear integrity. And the lie is that I want to help build the country. The truth is, you can help build the country by also being in opposition, because your criticism can push the country forward. But no. You know why? They don't have values. And that's why society is getting destroyed. Because there are no values. People will lie and push propaganda. I see them, a lot of them don't know I'm on all of their WhatsApp group. When they post the message for them to go and be posting on their pages, I see all of it, I laugh. Because I didn't add myself. They too, out of ignorance, added me on their WhatsApp groups. So you see the life they live? We can't build a country this way. Because somebody disagreed and said President Tinubu is not fit to be president, they are now forcing the Lagos State government, don't ever partner with that woman again. Despite the fact that she brings value, don't partner with that woman again. Because how much? How much are you going to spend in your lifetime? Didn't the likes of the Mokotebo leave money behind? Can you pack all the money to heaven? We deceive ourselves too much. It is the truth that will make you free. Zero 0907-651-1008. 0907-651-1008. We'll keep telling them the truth. Like they don't like it, there's nothing we can do about it. It will be on record that we spoke the truth. And they are not supposed to like it. We are supposed to say it the way it is. Like I say, it's not a popularity contest. I don't want you to like me. But you cannot but respect the truth I am telling you. And you cannot but respect the truth and the impact in society. So forget it. And for those that are very myopic, because somebody criticized President Tinubu in the past, Lagos State government should not do things with them. With due respect, I still criticize this government. But when they need something from me, and it's something in national interest, I do it without pleasure. Because for me, my motto is for God and for country. Country first. Leadership is transient. I give you an assurance. Those that you think are dominating the sphere of our politics today, in the next 5-10 years, they will be no longer in the position to dominate. Another person will come. At some point, were talking about the likes of them Vincent Ogbulafo about 10-15 years ago. Vincent Ogbulafo was so bold to say that PDP will run Nigeria for the next how many years? For the next 20 years. Today, we are not talking about likes of Vincent Ogbulafo again. Time and power is transient. These are hard truths. So if you care, you listen. If you care not, you may not listen. The truth is, nothing is going to change the truth. And we are going to keep speaking it every day. So ladies and gentlemen, please bear with me till I get back my Facebook page, because I'm going to get it back by the grace of God. By God's grace, I will get it back. At some point, we had constituted authority. Today, we don't talk about that any longer. Power, come and go. Time is transient. At some point, Rufai is talking. At some point, there will be people that will be better than Rufai that will come and talk. It's not a big deal. It's not the end of the world. Let's do what we have to do and help those where we have to help and make the impacts that we have to make. That's it. I will open the line for one or two calls. In the absence of calls, we will wrap it up and call it a day. The phone lines to call, let's see, 0907 651 1008. 0907 651 1008. Those are the phone lines to call. 0907 651 1008. Okay, I have another call on the other line. Hello, how are you?
Hello, good morning, sir.
Morning, where are you calling from?
Yeah, this is call from Turkey.
From where?
I'm calling from Turkey.
From Turkey. What's your name?
Yeah. Okay, my name is Cynthia.
Okay. Speak up, go ahead.
Okay. Okay, sir, please, there is this thing that has been bothering me.
Yeah.
This, I'm not a part of bad people or cultists. You understand? So, this Edo State governor breaking people's house. What if a woman has 10 children and one has bad head? So because of one, you will destroy the other ones. I don't really understand what is going on, because very soon now it will become, they will use it for politics. So in this kind of situation, what are we going to do? I've been trying to reach you to...
No problem. We'll keep talking about it. We'll keep amplifying it. We'll keep amplifying it. They can target people that are be proven to be cultists and take them up with the law. But you have no reason to start destroying people's homes and the likes. Hello, how are you? Hello? Hello? Hello?
Hello?
What's your name? Where are you calling from? Hello?
Hello?
Oh, okay. So that's about all we take today on the show. Ladies and gentlemen, God bless you. In the event we don't have any other call, that's about the show for you today. We thank you all for your time. TikTok, all the families. Don't forget, the Rufai Oseni page has over 500K has been hacked again as of this morning. We'll get it back. When we get it back, we'll continue that programming also there. Oh, this person just called a last caller. Let me just see if I can take it. Hello, how are you?
Good morning, sir.
Morning, what's your name? Where are you calling from? Quickly, you're the final caller.
Yeah, I'm calling from Delta State, Warri.
Good. What's your name?
My name is Gideon Ojo.
Gideon, go ahead.
Yes, sir. Actually, first of all, I want to appreciate you for the good work you do, sir. For speaking out for millions of Nigerians and for standing for the good of Nigeria. My English not too good. As I said, that for Warri Delta State.
I want to speak about the bandits that the federal government had sort of a meeting with when it comes to the leverage they give to bandits. I don't understand. You see our soldiers, they'll go to the battlefront, fight these people, get them arrested, bring them to book, and the federal government will take them to rehabilitation center, feed them fat, and put them in some program and release them back to the society. While our soldiers that fight insurgents are in Sambisa or in the bush, underfed. Family men.
Doesn't that speak volumes about where our nation is today?
This is the highest level of barbarism, sir. The highest level. I have never seen anything as animalistic as an animalistic government. The way they handle situation is so appalling. It's so annoying, sir. I am burning in my spirit.
Okay, you are burning your spirit, but let's take out the word animalistic, right? Let's take out the word animalistic, because if you're burning in your spirit, also you should be able to articulate. And articulating, I don't feel calling names is the solution. Condemn strongly, but don't call names. All right, so let's take out animalistic. But it speaks volumes about the plight of the people and the way our nation is today. And that's why we keep speaking about these things. We've talked about it at nauseam, and we keep talking about it.
Yes, sir.
It is well. It is well.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you.
I have a lot of things I want to talk about, unfortunately.
No, call again. Call again next week. Call again.
Thank you, sir.
Call again next week. Call again next week. Guys, that's about all. Hopefully, by this time next week, we'll have gotten the page back. More calls, oh Jesus Christ. A lot of calls. Hello, how are you?
Good morning, sir.
Morning. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Abuja. My name is Oyole, sir.
Great to have you, Oyole. Talk to us.
Sir, I want to talk about this tax reform they are going to start
in January.
Yes. Sir, is it going to play on? And is it going to start by January, sir?
Yeah, so it's going to start by January.
So this is how we're going to keep quiet about it, sir?
But that's why, see, people have to speak up. When they were having, what is it called? The plenary sessions about the tax bill. That's why we should have spoken up. But what you can also do is that go and meet your lawmaker. Write a strongly worded letter to your lawmaker and tell him about your grouse with whatever you pick that is wrong with the tax bill. And we move on from there.
I appreciate 1 billion some person have a card that want to. Okay, God will help Nigeria, sir.
Amen.
Yeah.
Bless you.
Thank you, sir.
So, a lot of calls coming in late minute, but we'll take all of them one by one as they come. But I think that's about all we can take. Oh, a lot more calls coming in. Oh, Jesus Christ. Hello, how are you?
Hello, good morning.
Morning. Michael, where are you calling from?
I'm
Tijanichi, go ahead, Michael.
Yes, the other time you condemn the military rule that is not good for the country.
Yes.
There are some African countries that are doing well now with the military.
No, they are not doing well. They are lying to you. They are selling propaganda. They are lying to you.
Like
Burkina Faso is not doing well. They are lying to you. Journalists were still attacked the other day in Burkina Faso. They are lying to you. They are selling propaganda. You see, let me tell you, condemn military rule in all its entirety. Because it's just going to give power to a new group of oppressors and it doesn't make the country any better. Trust me. And they're even going to be more ruthless. Under military rule, you will not have these freedoms. You can't even call on this platform and speak. That's if they've not even blocked the platform. It's never the way forward. Please condemn any form of military rule. Like I tell people. You see, the solution to the problem in a democracy is speaking truth to power, not military rule. Military rule is like thinking the solution to a headache is cutting the head off. I condemn it in its entirety. And we should never allow it be. That's why I keep building platforms to speak. We'll build more platforms. We'll build more radio platforms. We'll build more television platforms. That's what we'll do. Because you see, the first thing they will try to do is to stifle our voices. We'll build more platforms. In fact, what I'm even trying to do now is is rather than depending on all these foreign platforms, we need to build our own independent platform. That's my next target. We need to build our own independent platform controlled by us, be it a social media company or social media site. That's what we should be thinking of now. We should build our own independent platform. Because all of these platforms, they have loopholes, they are controlled. So we need to build our own independent platform. And you see, for every time I get hacked, it just reminds me that you don't own the platform. Somebody can go and use backdoor and collect your account and use to do all sorts of things. So we need to build our own independent platform. That's where we are going to. We will build more platforms where we engage with people. That's just it. And that's what we'll do. We'll keep building. We'll never stop building. Guys, please keep being inspired. Never stop being inspired. And I pray as we go this week, God will bless you. He'll make his face shine over you. Thank you so much, TikTok. I think TikTok this week, we've gotten over 1,000 or 2,000 people on TikTok. Thank you so much for following our show. On Twitter, close to 1,000. Facebook, I think the same number. But the other Facebook is still hacked. Normally, we'll get close to 5,000 to 10,000 on our live stream on Facebook alone. And Instagram, thank you guys so much. Really appreciate all of you. That's about all we can take today. God bless you.
Alderman the Lord Levine of Port Socal.
Your Excellencies, my Lords, ladies and gentlemen, it's a very great pleasure to welcome you all to Guildhall this evening, where we in the City of London are very proud to host this, the 15th Commonwealth Lecture. The Lord Mayor is very sorry not to be with you himself tonight. He's on a business mission to our Commonwealth partners in Australia and New Zealand. And I know that he would want me to thank the Commonwealth Foundation for all its work in organising this evening's event. The Commonwealth is an extraordinary 2 billion strong family of peoples and nations, bound together by a shared commitment to democracy, good governance, respect for human rights, the eradication of poverty, and sustainable development. All values which events right across the world show we must continue to cherish and to promote. But the Commonwealth is also bound together by a single figure, Her Majesty the Queen, whose Diamond Jubilee we celebrate this year. Her Majesty's life has been one of service and duty, respected by all, a life committed to connecting the diverse peoples of the Commonwealth together. So it's entirely fitting that Commonwealth Observance Day this year marks the start of the Diamond Jubilee celebrations, opened by the UK's largest multi-faith celebration at Westminster Abbey, attended by Her Majesty. And it is just as fitting that the Commonwealth theme for this very special year and our lecture this evening should be that of connecting cultures. We share a great deal, but we celebrate our difference and how much we can learn from our rich diversity. The City of London offers services that will be critical in creating jobs and growth at home and abroad. The City also has a very strong commitment to the arts, not least as one of the largest funders and supporters of the arts in this country, from the Barbican Centre to the museums we support here in the City and right across London. So we're delighted this evening to welcome the Commonwealth Secretary-General, His Excellency Mr. Kamalesh Sharma, to Guildhall this evening, who of course is no stranger to us here at all, as well as our lecturer, Chimamandan Ngozi Adichie. Her novels and short stories have made a huge impact. Facts and figures tell one part of her story, but her work contains the holy grail for all writers, what one critic called emotional truth, showing us the feelings and the dramas of individuals caught up in terrible historic events, confronting us with human consequences of real events, all done with empathy and grace. Her fellow writer, Chinua Achebe, said, "We do not usually associate wisdom with beginners, but she is a writer endowed with the gift of ancient storytellers." I'm sure that you're all looking forward to a special lecture as part of a very special year. And I would now like to hand over to Simone de Commermond, the chair of the Commonwealth Foundation. Thank you very much.
My Lord Mayor, Secretary General Mr. Sharma and Mrs. Sharma, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. The Commonwealth Lecture is organized by the Commonwealth Foundation in partnership with the Commonwealth Secretariat, the Cambridge Commonwealth Trust, the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, the Royal Commonwealth Society, and the Royal Overseas League. Connecting Cultures is the Commonwealth theme for 2012. It celebrates the diverse mix of people across the Commonwealth, united by shared values and vision. Together, these 54 nations represent over 2 billion people of differing beliefs and traditions, with cultural expression a vibrant means of identity and exchange. The Commonwealth Foundation is the Commonwealth agency which has been entrusted by heads of governments to take care of the culture portfolio, amongst other activities, of course. We recognize that culture is an essential pillar of development. Culture is the soul of our society and an expression of the human spirit. It is intrinsically linked to the fabric of the Commonwealth. Our culture program aims to give less heard voices an opportunity to share their stories. Targeted initiatives develop and support cultural practitioners to challenge and explore issues that affect civil society at every level. And in the year of Connecting Cultures, we have relaunched the Commonwealth Writers' Prize, won by our speaker in 2005, in the form of Commonwealth Writers, a new global initiative which finds and develops new writers of fiction. In 2011, Commonwealth heads mandated a relaunch of the Commonwealth Foundation so that it can more effectively strengthen and mobilize civil society in support of Commonwealth principles and priorities. Looking ahead, I see a bright future for the Commonwealth Foundation, and I am delighted to formally welcome Vijay Krishna Narayan as the new director and wish him every success in his new role. I would also like to take this opportunity to offer our most sincere thanks on behalf of all at the Commonwealth Foundation to Danny Sriskandaraja for the remarkable leadership in his capacity as interim director over the last 12 months. Thank you so much, Danny. Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie was born in Nigeria in 1977. Her first novel, Purple Hibiscus, won the Commonwealth Writers' Prize Best First Book in 2005 and garnered widespread critical acclaim. Her second novel, Half of a Yellow Sun, won the Orange Prize for Fiction in 2007. She was named one of the 20 most important fiction writers today under 40 years old by The New Yorker. She is a trustee of the Farafina Trust, a highly successful initiative in Nigeria to promote reading, writing, and a culture of social introspection and an engagement through the literary arts. She is an ambassador for the Commonwealth Foundation's Commonwealth Writers Program. It is my pleasure, therefore, to ask you, ladies and gentlemen, to welcome our speaker to the 15th Commonwealth Lecture, Mrs. Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Good evening. A few weeks ago, my dear friend Martin Kenyon, who is seated in front, telephoned me and left a message in which he sounded quite alarmed because he had just heard that I had been asked to give the Commonwealth lecture. What Martin did not know was that I was just as alarmed as he was. And so I feel a little bit like a pretender to the throne, standing here before you in this gorgeous space. But I am deeply honored, and I thank the Commonwealth Foundation for inviting me, and I thank you all for being here. I would like to start by talking about bagels. When I was growing up in Nsukka, the university town in southeastern Nigeria, books were the center of my world. I started reading when I was perhaps 4 years old, and I read everything I could find. One day, I read an American novel in which a character ate something called a bagel for breakfast. I had no idea what a bagel was, but I thought it sounded very elegant, very exotic. I pronounced it bagel. I desperately wanted to have a bagel. My family visited the United States for the first time when I was 9, and at the airport in New York, I told my mother that as a matter of the gravest urgency, we had to buy a bagel. And so she went to a cafe and bought one. Finally, I would have a bagel. You can imagine my disappointed surprise when I discovered that this bagel, this glorious bagel from the novel, was only just a dense donut. Still, even though a bagel ended up not being some sort of exquisite confection, the moments in which I thought it was were well worth it, because my imagination soared in delight. And there was something comforting and instructive in that discovery of a bagel, in the demystifying ordinariness of a bagel. Other people like me ate boring food. I have since, by the way, come to enjoy a toasted bagel with cream cheese. But I wanted to use this anecdote not only to illustrate the wondrous ability of books to enlarge our imaginations, but also as a starting point to make a case for the kind of literature that I was drawn to and that I continue to be drawn to as a reader and as a writer. I have been writing since I was old enough to spell. My writing, when it is going well, gives me what I like to describe as extravagant joy. And when it is not going well, is a source of great depression and anxiety. I write because I have to. I write because I love the solitude of writing, because I love the near mystical sense of creating characters who sometimes speak to me, because I love the possibility of touching another human being with my work, because I spend a large amount of time in the spaces between the imaginary and the concrete. Writing, we are often told, is a solitary endeavor, and it is. It is also intensely idiosyncratic. Each time I read of or hear about a writer's elaborate writing ritual, I am immediately tempted to claim an equally elaborate ritual of my own. To claim that I light red candles, or hold improbable yoga positions, or recite an Igbo chant, or fall into a brief trance before I actually begin to write. But although my ritual is in truth significantly less colorful than what I wish it were, it does exist, as I suspect it does for every writer. There is an Igbo proverb that says, "Onye na-akwa nka na-adu iru," which translates loosely to, "A sculptor always works with a frown." This suggests that the sculptor, and by extension the artist, the writer, the creative person, works in a state of the utmost seriousness and rigor, because her vocation, her calling, is not entirely in her control. She's a conduit of sorts, communing with something larger than herself, hence the frown. Now, I don't walk with a frown, at least not all the time, but I do think of my writing as both magic and craft. It is a whispering from the spirits, an inexplicable gift I have been blessed with. And it is also a steely determination to sit down for hours and write and rewrite until the muscles of my neck and shoulders tighten in painful revolt. My family and I often joke about how, when I am home and all is quiet and all distraction turned off, and I'm supposed to be writing, I am instead wandering around the house, from study to bedroom to kitchen and back again. Which brings to mind a wonderful quote from the American writer Don DeLillo. Writers go out of their way to secure their solitude, and then, having secured it, they go out of their way to squander it. But that wandering is itself part of the magic and craft process. And the hope is that at some point in the wandering, the literary spirits will intercede, the story or a character will reveal itself, and I will then be able to sink into the hours of writing and rewriting, fully inhabiting an intense inward space. But it is too simple to claim that writing is a private act, end of story. If it were so, I would write in a diary and put it away in a drawer. An audience, or the possibility of an audience, moves writing from a private to a public space. I have often been asked who my audience is, who I write for. And the most honest answer is that I really do not know, because I never consciously think of audience while writing fiction. I sometimes also wonder whether it ever occurred to Turgenev that a teenager in a small town in southeastern Nigeria might be part of the audience of Fathers and Sons, his novel about 1860s Russia, which I love. I don't suppose it did occur to him. Perhaps a more comprehensible answer to the question about who my audience is that I write the kind of fiction I like to read, and so I write for whoever enjoys the kind of fiction I enjoy. As a child, books about hobbits or flying saucers or alternative universes did not interest me. Perhaps because at some level I was always in awe of the vastness of the world, of the many places I was yet to learn about, of the millions of ordinary human stories yet untold, each one worthy, each one capable of truth and beauty. And so I was particularly drawn to books that I like to call realist literature, books populated by recognizably real human beings living in real places. Of course, one must use the word real with some reservation. The world of realist literature is not the same as the real world, but it is close enough, aligned enough to the real world to be able to illuminate it. And it is books of that sort that I would like to make a case for today. Books that have often brought to my mind the words of the ancient Latin poet Horace. The role of literature is to instruct and delight. Realist fiction is not merely the recording of the real, as it were. It is more than that. It seeks to infuse the real with meaning, which perhaps is why the artist walks with a frown. As events unfold in our lives, we do not always know what they mean. But in telling the story of what happened, meaning emerges, and we are able to make connections with emotive significance. Realist fiction is, above all, the process of turning fact into truth. I knew the basic facts of Nigerian history when I first read Chinua Achebe's novels, Things Fall Apart and Arrow of God. But it was those novels that made me realize that while I may very well know the facts, I did not really know the truths. Bloodless words like pacification and amalgamation and indirect rule were the facts. But the truths were in the human stories. A respected man being flogged publicly by agents of the colonial government. A priest, once resplendent in his pride and his stubbornness, now reduced to sitting on a cold prison floor because he had dared to reject an offer from a British district officer. And in images such as these, I learned a great truth which the history books said nothing about: the loss of dignity. One of my favorite novels is The Dark Child by Kamaralaye, a book of startling beauty, defiant optimism, and the most layered nostalgia. On recently rereading it, I was struck by a sentence in the introduction by the South African English writer William Plummer. Plummer wrote, "Laye introduces us to a society which appears entirely free of vulgarity." The assumption, of course, being that the society should have been vulgar. Now, this is a silly comment, if ever there was one, but if we are willing to overlook the silliness of it, we see that Plummer might have been knowledgeable about the so-called facts of what he calls tribal life. But it took this novel, this beautiful novel about a quiet childhood in the plains of Guinea, to make him see the truths. Most of us know the story of the philosopher Diogenes the critic, who, carrying a lantern in daylight, walked up and down the streets of Athens and claimed that he was looking for an honest man. Scholars say that Diogenes did in fact carry a lantern around Athens' sunlit streets, but he did not say that he was looking for an honest man. What he said was that he was looking for humanity. Of course, the cynicism of his action is clear. The lantern in daylight tells us that he does not believe he will find this humanity. But it can also be interpreted as his refusal to take the idea of humanity for granted, because humanity is, in fact, something we must always keep searching for. To read realist literature is, I think, to search for humanity, as Diogenes did, but hopefully with much less cynicism. It is easy to assume that our collective humanity is self-evident, that we do not need to search for it. But we live in a time of numbers and facts, in a world where an acceptable response to the news of a death is to click the like button in Facebook. We live in a world where we can easily find information about GDP and infant mortality and life expectancy, but not about that which most motivates people, human desire. We live in a world where we so often quote figures of the number of the dead in Iraq and Afghanistan and Congo until they become just that, figures. Each time I read these news articles, I find myself thinking, what do they dream about in Congo? How do they fall in love in Afghanistan? How do they resolve family quarrels in Iraq? What do they like to eat? Of course, we must know about the dead and the dying. And of course, these figures and facts are essential. But they should coexist with human stories. We should know how people die, but we should also know how they live. When we read human stories, we become alive in bodies not our own. Literature is in many ways like faith. It is a leap of the imagination. Both reading and writing require an imaginative leap, and it is that imaginative leap that enables us to become alive in bodies not our own. It seems to me that we live in a world where it has become increasingly important to try and live in bodies not our own, to embrace empathy, to constantly be reminded that we share with everybody in every part of the world a common and equal humanity. But I must hasten to clarify that I am not suggesting that we are all the same. We most certainly are not. Many of us would be reluctant to live in a world in which everyone were the same. We would be suffocated by boredom. Literature is indeed about how we are different. The American writer John Updike, after reading Chinua Achebe's Arrow of God, wrote to Achebe to say that a Western writer would not have allowed the destruction of a character as rich as the protagonist, Ezulu. Perhaps what Updike had implicitly understood was that in Achebe's world, very different from the Western world depicted in the literature with which Updike was familiar, the preservation of the community mattered more than the preservation of the individual. Or, in the words of a character in the novel itself, an animal rubs its itching flank against a tree, but a man asks his kinsman to scratch him. This is part of realist literature's magic, that we are able to thrill to the magnificent diversity in the world. And so we read not to see how other people are like us, but simply to see them, to truly see them, what they love, what they resent, what wounds their pride, what they aspire to. Yet, part of that magic of realist literature is to remind us of how similar we are in the midst of our differences, to remind us that what we all share is the quest for value. To be human is to want to be valued. We want our bodies to be nourished, and we want our hearts to be nourished. And this is the humanity we must seek through stories. I fell in love with Sri Lanka after I read Ramesh Gunesekera's beautiful novel, Reef, with its evocation of friendship, love, and politics in a country about to be torn apart by war. Recently, I visited Sri Lanka, and at the airport in Colombo, I saw a collection box which said something like, "Contribute money to help the soldiers." I was not quite sure which soldiers this fundraising was for, whether the government or the Tamil Elam, but it did not matter much to me because I put some money in the box anyway. And I dreamed in that small gesture of restoration, of healing, of a return to a country as it was depicted in the novel Reef. Perhaps this was a hopelessly sentimental act, but it filled me with a small delight, as did the country of Sri Lanka itself. It was not surprising to me that I fell in love with the country and with its people, who felt strangely familiar because I had encountered them in the pages of a beloved book. Books are immensely powerful, inherently powerful. a power that often transcends the creator of the book. I don't think that the writer of that American novel I read as a child had any idea that I would come to so lushly romanticize bagels. Nor do I think that bagels would have so completely captured my imagination if I had read of them in a newspaper article or anywhere else outside the pages of a novel. Ben Okri, the Nigerian writer, tells a story about his father who, after training as a lawyer in England, returned to Nigeria with a great collection of books, Homer, Tolstoy, Dostoevsky, which he didn't quite get around to reading. The books gathered dust, and from time to time, he would say to his son, "Ben, dust the books, but don't read them." This, of course, made the books even more attractive to Ben. And so, while dusting, he would read them, and if he heard his father's voice, he would hurriedly return to dusting. As an adult, Okri would recall this story and end with the words, "Books still have this tension for me, the do and don't, the possibility of danger, of secret knowledge. It makes them very potent." Of course, it is the content of a book that are truly potent. In Chinua Achebe's essay, Traveling White, he writes about a librarian who, at a lecture at the University of California, told him what Achebe described as a curious story. It was about a German judge named Wolfgang Ziedler. This distinguished judge, a president of the highest constitutional court in Germany, had just accepted an offer to move to Namibia and become a consultant to the Namibian regime. Then a friend gave him the novel Things Fall Apart. After he read it, he promptly and dramatically changed his mind. He would no longer move to Namibia because he could not lend his abilities to an apartheid system that dehumanized Africans. Achebe concludes this story by wondering why a man so accomplished needed a novel to make him see this. Did he not read the newspapers? But perhaps the German judge only knew the facts. And perhaps in reading Chinua Achebe's novel, he was taking a walk along the sunlit streets of Windhoek, holding a lantern. Logic can convince, but it is in fact emotion that leads us to act. Realist literature reminds us of this, that we are not a collection of logical bones and flesh, that we are emotional beings, that dignity and love matter as much as bread and water. The parts of us that we can measure and define are important, but the real influence, the real basis for connection comes from the parts of us that we cannot measure and define. I am a person who deeply loves two languages, Igbo and English. I love Igbo because it is mine, because it is the language of home and laughter and love. Growing up in Nigeria, it was English that had political and economic power, but I did not love it for that reason. I loved it because I was educated in English and because I read English books. When I went to the US to go to university, I met a number of international students from Jamaica, India, Kenya. And I soon realized that while we were very different, we did have something in common, something that the students from China or even Senegal did not. A certain way of being and doing, an almost intuitive way of understanding each other. And I would argue that it was not simply because our countries had been colonized by the British, not because we came from places where lawyers wore funny white wigs, but because we had from childhood read British books. We read Charles Dickens, and we read Enid Blyton. We read of cucumber sandwiches, and we read of ginger beer. And our imaginations were bound in a common familiarity. There was something in this discovery that moved me very much, although it also left me newly astonished at just how the British had managed to meddle in so many parts of the world. The African-American writer W.E.B. Du Bois once said that all art is propaganda. This is the kind of statement that is easy to disagree with because of the ideas we have about art and about propaganda, where the former is pure and the latter a deliberate spreading of often insidious information. But when we think about a more nuanced meaning of propaganda, then Du Bois becomes easier to agree with. Here's a quote from Du Bois. "All art is propaganda and ever must be, despite the wailing of the purists. I stand in utter shamelessness and say that whatever art I have for writing has been used always for propaganda, for gaining the right of black folk to love and enjoy. I do not care a damn for any art that is not used for propaganda, but I do care when propaganda is confined to one side while the other side is stripped and silent." Du Bois was speaking in the context of what he called Negro art, the art of black Americans who were not allowed by the white establishment to write about certain subjects. But in a larger sense, perhaps Du Bois was saying that we cannot pretend that literature falls from the sky, unburdened by value or by history. The Senegalese poet and statesman Senghor once said, "I have always taken care to put an idea or emotion behind my words. I have made it a habit to be suspicious of the mere music of words." Of course, the music of words is important. It matters because it enhances meaning. There's no better way to sear an image onto our minds than with a well-written sentence. But literature is not just words. Literature is never just words. When I read Graham Greene and Virginia Woolf, I am being delighted and entertained, but I am also learning of a certain sensibility, a certain Englishness. And so, in a sense, to write realist fiction is an exercise in citizenship. It is strange to talk about creating and citizenship because we like to think of art as separate. That if anything, an artist and a creator, simply by creating, suddenly becomes a citizen of an imaginary land of artists. And this is in some ways true. But we also live in a world in which the nation state dominates, in which your value as a human being, the value that the formalized structures of the world gives you, can often be determined by what passport you carry. I will know as a person who travels on a Nigerian passport. Traveling with a Nigerian passport means carrying the weight of assumptions that I am likely to be lying or to be a drug dealer or a fraudster. The many expressions of disbelief when I say I am a writer. Being asked to step aside for more questions at airports. The extra processing steps required for visas to countries as diverse as Kenya and Denmark. I wish I could tell the various embassies that I, in fact, am a citizen of the world of artists. But of course, citizenship goes beyond a mere passport. It is a sensibility. While I have a great affection for America, and I live part-time in America, I know I can never be an American because I will never understand the game of baseball. And I know I'm Nigerian because I always root for the Nigerian football team during the World Cup. And I know I am African because as soon as the Nigerian team is kicked out of the World Cup, which invariably happens early on, I then begin to root fiercely for the other sub-Saharan African teams. More seriously, realist literature transmits this sensibility of citizenship, is steeped in this sensibility, both for the reader and the writer. Nelson Mandela described Chinua Achebe's novel Things Fall Apart as the book in whose presence the prison walls came down. I'm sure Mandela loved many other novels, but would he have felt this way about another book that was not African? Arguably not. For many Africans, Things Fall Apart was not merely an interesting and moving novel, it was also a gesture of returned dignity, because it was a complex and humane novel that came in the wake of a long but little varied tradition of books written by Europeans about Africa, books in which Africa was often portrayed as a place without history, without humanity, without hope. Chinua Achebe himself first read some of the better-known examples of these books as a secondary school student in southeastern Nigeria in the 1940s. He has written about his response to the African characters in those books, and here's an excerpt. I did not see myself as an African to begin with. I took sides with the white men against the savages. The white men were good and reasonable and intelligent and courageous. The savages, arrayed against them, were sinister and stupid, or at the most, cunning. I hated their guts. As Achebe matured and became more critical in his reading, he began to understand the enormous power that stories had and how much this power was shaped by who told the stories and by how they were told. As a university student in the 1950s, in addition to reading Wordsworth and Shakespeare and Coleridge, Achebe also read a novel called Mr. Johnson by the English writer Joyce Carey. It was set in Nigeria, and Time magazine had named it the best book ever written about Africa. Achebe disagreed. Not only was the Nigerian character in the novel unrecognizable to him and his classmates, but he also detected in the description of Nigerians what he described as an undertow of uncharitableness, a contagion of distaste, hatred, and mockery. Now, much has been written about Chinua Achebe's Things Fall Apart being a response to Mr. Johnson, but one likes to think that Achebe would have written his novel even if he had not read Carey's. Still, the portrayal of Africans in the books he read must have had an influence on him, must have spurred his literary spirits on. How could it not? When I first began to understand these portrayals of Africans in European literature, I was filled with that peculiar sense of defensiveness and vulnerability that comes with knowing that your story has been grossly mistold. So I turned to Chinua Achebe's novels. In the stark, sheer poetry of Things Fall Apart, in the humor and complexity of Arrow of God, I found a gentle reprimand. Don't you dare believe other people's stories of you. Would a book of reportage, an accumulation of facts, been able to do that? I think not. Our histories cling to us. The British historian Bertrand Russell once spoke about two little girls from Estonia who had narrowly escaped death from starvation in a famine and who had been brought to live with his family. They were fed very well and very regularly, but Russell was surprised to discover that they would sneak off to neighboring farms and steal potatoes and hoard them. Even though they were now in the midst of plenty, their hungry days had not left them. Our histories cling to us. We are shaped by where we come from. Our art is shaped by where we come from. The South African writer Sky Mfahlele writes that under apartheid, Black South African writers wrote mostly short stories because of the urgency of their political situation. Orhan Pamuk is able to create such beautiful explorations of Istanbul because it is where he grew up. And it is unlikely that I would have been so haunted by the Nigeria-Biafra War, which is the setting of my second novel, Half of a Yellow Sun, if I had not been born into an Igbo family that was deeply affected by the war. I am often asked where the inspiration for the novel came from, an almost impossible question to answer. It came from a desire to write about love and friendship and family and how war changes all of that. It came from a faded, beautiful photograph of my grandfather, David Adichie. It came from seeing tears in my mother's eyes as she told the story of her father's death in a refugee camp. It came from the novels of Flora Nwapa and Chukwuemeka Ike. It came from the smell of the dust in my hometown in Anambra State. And most of all, it came from a deep, haunting obsession that even now I cannot find the language to describe. When I was in graduate school in the United States, a professor said during a class discussion on colonialism in sub-Saharan Africa that the Africans whose lands had not been taken by the European colonizers had really lost nothing because their lands were still intact. At those words, something in me recoiled viscerally. I thought the professor was dangerously wrong to quantify the effects of colonialism and to reduce it to land. This is not to diminish the enormous practical and emotional significance of the loss of ancestral lands, but the truth is that the losses associated with any unjust government, and colonialism was an unjust dictatorship, cannot be limited to those things that we can measure. The losses are more nuanced: the loss of language and stories, the loss of a way of being and a way of thinking, the loss of dignity, and the loss that comes when succeeding generations inherit those losses. I sometimes wonder whether it might be a good idea to send a package of books of realist literature to every prime minister and president in the world, although the difficult part might be finding a way to make sure they actually read them. Perhaps it would make government policy take into account the parts of us that prove we are not merely a collection of logical bones and flesh. We should read human stories to be instructed and to be delighted, but also to remind ourselves that we are not alone, that we, in the words of Pablo Neruda, belong to this great mass of humanity, not to the few, but to the many. And finally, I would like to end with some words from Bessie Head, a brilliant feminist writer from South Africa who lived most of her life in Botswana. When she was asked the question, "Why do you write?" her response was this: "I am building a stairway to the stars. I have the authority to take the whole of mankind up there with me. That is why I write."
Pray silence for the Commonwealth Secretary-General, His Excellency Mr. Kamalesh Sharma.
Distinguished guests, I think you will all agree with me what a great privilege it has been to hear Chimamanda this evening. And what could be more appropriate than the fact that in this year, the theme of the Commonwealth is connecting cultures, because cultures are to be connected geographically, laterally, but also in time, and also in terms of experience. And many of the themes which she touched upon so gracefully and so sensitively resonate in the hearts and minds of all Commonwealth citizens. The act of creation itself, the effort of application that is required, the universality of the audience to which she refers, the theme of the loss of dignity and what it means to the silent and total destruction of a personality, the need for looking for humanity where you find it. And to quote from her, a common and equal humanity. The word common familiarity, which unites all of us, global citizenship, all of these are themes which are not only appropriate for this year, for us, but are themes which have always been part and parcel of the third D, which we treasure so much in the Commonwealth. We used very much to the first two Ds of development and democracy, but one of the greatest gifts of the Commonwealth is, in fact, what it is already, which is diversity, and what it means to all of us to forge a common humanity and to speak about it. What I value most of all, Chimamanda, in you is the fact that you are young. The Commonwealth now is a society of young people. I've been to countries where, to the question, how many people are here who are 29 or younger, I've been given the answer, about 70%. Our mental image of a country when we land at an airport is this is a country of adults with some young people in it. The truth is just the opposite. We are mostly landing in a country of young people, where adults like myself are, in fact, few and getting fewer all the time. So when we look to the future, we look to people like you, the wisdom which you bring in your youth, and the presence and the poise which you bring. And we feel encouraged and we feel ennobled and lifted by this possibility. Of course, we have heard Chimamanda before, we've heard her in the Abbey, but it has been a particular privilege to be able to hear her at such great length and to be so encouraged by what she has said. This is the Diamond Jubilee year. It's a very special year for us, and I think what we've heard has been a very special contribution in this year going forward. This brings to a close the Commonwealth Week this year. It began with a concert in the Barbican, also with an African soul. So if you like, the two ends of the week are both a kind of gift of the City Corporation, the Barbican, and now here. I would like very much to thank the Lord Mayor, locum tenens, Alderman the Lord Levine, the City of London Corporation, the City Remembrancer, Mr. Paul Double and his staff, particularly Hannah Ramney, Madam Simone Di Comamo, Vijay Krishnarayan, and the Commonwealth Foundation staff, particularly Claire Turner and Emma da Costa, Mrs. Sally Shaby, and the Commonwealth Youth Orchestra, which we've had the privilege of hearing so many times during the Commonwealth Week, Arvindan, Pujantan, and Sita in anticipation, who will be performing South Indian classical music during the reception. And now I invite everyone to the reception in the old library, hosted by the City of London Corporation, for which we are immensely grateful. And I don't want to point to a random direction and mislead you, but it shouldn't be too difficult for you to find it. Thank you.